go. So, all right, we're just going to keep inviting people in. So yeah, so good to have you all here. Welcome to the Thriving Relationship Masterclass.
Yeah, we're going to have lots of relationships in our life, throughout our life, and it's the most important part of our life. So let's get you all the skills and tools that you need to do it as well as possible. It's the thing that impacts our quality of life more than anything else, our level of happiness, contentment. So let's make sure that we really have that right skill set to do relationships in the most wonderful way, with those deep connections, that ability to be vulnerable and empathetic, and to really be there for each other in like healthy, loving ways very consistently.
Yes. And I'm Christine Earthart.
And I'm Brett Earthart.
And we're founders of the Center for Thriving Relationships and fellow humans on this journey of love and relating and forever seeking like deeper understanding of the human heart and spirit and mind and who we are, and how, for me, I just love imagining, like, I just want to have this flashlight that gets brighter and brighter to help kind of shine the light, that pathway between every human heart. And that's part of our mission and our passion, what we've been able to learn about relationships over the past decade plus. We feel like our flashlights keep getting brighter, and the world becomes an ever more beautiful place when we can really see one another a lot more clearly. So that's one of our many hopes from being here tonight, is that maybe you'll see yourself, your partner, others in your life a little more clearly, in a way that adds some more ease and more connection to your life together. So you are in the right place and thanks so much, those of you chiming in. It's so good to see you in the chat. Wonderful.
We got people from across the country.
Yeah, Annapolis, California, Indiana, Washington. Yeah, thank you all so much. So good to have you here. So you are in the right place if
you're newly together with a sweetie and you just want to make sure that you have the ability to really put this on the trajectory that you really want your relationship to go in. Or if you've been, in a relationship, a long-term relationship, and you're just really ready to take it to that next level. Like we really believe that, we're either kind of growing or dying in life in these different areas of our life, and especially in relationships. Are we putting our effort, our energy into our current relationship to really keep it growing, for it to, we want it to be, that sequoia tree, right? That's just kind of towering, 300 feet into the air. And it takes that constant growth to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So so maybe you want to set yourself up for success. You're in a difficult moment. You want to have a breakthrough. So maybe even, things are good, but you feel like you've just been going through the motions a bit. It's really easy when life is so busy. We tend to get stuck in patterns just as humans, so innocently and understandably. And we might get stuck in some sort of pattern or habit that served a purpose, last year or 20 years ago, and we're still operating out of it, even though it didn't work then. What we dear humans sometimes do when something doesn't work, we then do that thing even more, hoping that it'll work. And of course it works even less. And so if you just want to have a shift around something, a breakthrough, a new way of seeing things, we want to really open up a possibility for you. Yes. Or if you're like, things are good and I want to really experience the greatest love imaginable. Maybe you're in a really, really tender place right now. You're just on the edge of separation or divorce. We just welcome you so fully and completely. If you're here solo or with your partner, either is so perfect. Relationships are really a mirror. All of life, right, is a mirror, just here to help us awaken to different parts of who we are and help us grow and evolve. And so our partnership is perhaps one of our greatest mirrors. And the great news about that is that when we change, very often, most often, our relationship changes as well. So it's the best when both partners are all in and just hungry to grow and evolve into the greatest version of your love. And even if just you are, it is so incredible that you're here, and we honor you fully. Or maybe,
maybe you're here to serve the people that you really care about in your life, your friends and your family. Maybe you're one of those people that they tend to come to for advice in their life. And you want to make sure that you're giving them good relationship advice, because a lot of the stuff that we grew up hearing about relationships, a lot of that, some of that folk wisdom is very wise. Some of it's not. Some of it's like really off base. Some of those truisms that we were taught growing up are actually not true at all, and can be very destructive. So we want to make sure that we're, giving people sound relationship advice when we're trying to help them. And we will help you to ensure you're doing that.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, if you just want to reignite the spark and renew your love, you're in the right place. So wherever you are in the spectrum, or maybe, you just do feel this calling to support the people that are in your own personal life. Or you may also be interested in learning some tools, techniques, insights that you can share to support other couples professionally. So if that is you at the very end, no pressure to stay for that whatsoever. Just know that at the very end, we are going to be talking just for a few minutes about our Thriving Relationship Coach Certification program, because the next cohort starts soon. And just incredible people from around the world are spiraling in, and we're so honored. It's what lights us up most of all, is to get to share these things and watch others be empowered in their gifts to help bring more love and connection to the world. So thank you for being a part of that.
Definitely. If it feels like a good fit for you, we'd really like for you to be part of it.
But we're gonna pack this full with so much goodness and so much value. We really want this to deeply serve and support you. It's part of our own relationship journey, is like we feel this responsibility to share this with the world, just knowing relationships tend to be the area of life that we experience the most unnecessary suffering. It's like the area of life that has the greatest capacity for joy and fulfillment, and to really magnify and multiply the good of the world. And when we don't know the way, it ends up really multiplying and magnifying the pain and the suffering and the frustration and loneliness and despair and all the things. And so there is a way out. So much more is possible. And we're going to dive into all of that.
Yeah, so we're going to share with you a little of our secret sauce to make that all happen. So we have our TRUE method, which is built on 6 pillars. TRUE stands for that thriving relationship upgrade, true love.
And, who's ready? Who's ready? Put in the comments. Upgrade if you're ready.
Time to upgrade. That's right. We always want to be upgrading, right? And so just to give you an idea of what these 6 pillars are. So the first pillar is personal responsibility. And that might, be surprising because, right, we're all about relationships. So, the first pillar is actually focused on the individual, and that being personally responsible is so important, because if we're not taking personal responsibility in our life and in our relationship, we are getting stuck in the power struggle with our partner. We are getting stuck in the blame game, and we are just spinning our wheels in the mud and not going anywhere. And it's just painful. That's, when Christine talks about the unnecessary suffering in relationships, that's, so often it's when we're not taking personal responsibility that's happening. Either one of us or both of us is not doing that. And so that is one of those foundational pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. And pillar number 2 that we're going to cover is creating a positive love account. So we'll go into what is a love account, why it matters, and how to keep it full.
Pillar 3, secure attachment. So if we don't understand attachment, we don't understand relationships. And we want to make sure that we're creating secure attachment in our sweetie, relationship with our sweetie.
Yeah, secure attachment. If that is not a lens that you've looked at your relationship through before, we're so excited to share that with you, because so many relationship challenges are actually due to a lack of emotional connection and an area where you're not in that moment feeling securely attached. And it just changes everything when we can compassionately see ourselves and our partner in that way. So we'll definitely go over that. And pillar 4 is all about communication, because most relationship challenges, we think they're about what's on the surface. And so we, it's like, well, I want this and I want this, and our needs just clash. So often, though, it is pure magic. The honor and privilege of getting to do this work is that couples that feel like they're miles apart, and all of a sudden they start communicating about it in a different way. And they're like, oh, we're not very far apart at all. And we can just both kind of lean in and co-create something that might be even more brilliant than what they saw before. And communication is key.
Pillar 5 is repair. In long-term love, it's inevitable we're going to make some mistakes. We're going to at times give each other our worst selves instead of our best selves, and we're going to hurt each other. That's really inevitable, and that's okay. Our love can weather that if we do the repair work after those painful experiences. It's when we don't do the repair work that those painful experiences really sabotage our love. So we want to understand repair really well.
For sure. And then pillar 6 is physical intimacy, which looks however it looks uniquely for every single couple. And it's oftentimes one of the things that really sets our relationship apart from other relationships in our lives, and to find a way that really supports and nourishes both of you and keeps you connected. So we're going to go over that. And the number one reason that people reach out for support around physical intimacy is when there's a differing interest in the desire around physical intimacy. So if you can relate to that, or you know somebody who can, we're going to touch on that in physical intimacy. So who's excited? Who's ready for their thriving relationship upgrade and to explore all these pillars? And we are hoping we're going to give you a little boost of inspiration and something practical that you can apply to your relationship in each one in this Power Packed hour together. So let us know in the chat if you're excited, for those of you that are here live.
Okay, so the benefits of being in a thriving relationship versus one of those, this is a painful relationship. In a happy, thriving relationship, we benefit in so many ways. Our physical health is so much better because our immune system is not being halted. Like, so when we're experiencing conflict in a relationship, it's like we're getting triggered, and it puts us in this fear-based physiological state, and our immune system shuts down because, right, when we're in a fear-based state, our body's geared towards short-term survival. And so we're much healthier when we're in a happy relationship, and we live longer. We have, across the board, we have less disease, less illness. We experience, just the subjective, self-report of joy, right? So it's like people in happy relationships, always say that I'm happier in general, can cross my, the sectors of life. And our children, tend to, do better. The people around us benefit when we are in a thriving relationship, our friends, our family members. And interestingly enough, even the friends of our friends who have never met us actually benefit a little bit. This has been researched, benefit a little bit from our happiness. So it makes the whole society, the whole community, the whole world better.
Yeah. So the neat thing is, even if you're like, I don't know if I want a better relationship, if you want any of these things, better health, more abundance, better relationships with your kids, all the things, a more fulfilling career, our relationship spills over and impacts all the other things. This is a great area of life to nurture, to really, you want to maximize your efforts, to have a lot of benefits in life. This is a great place to be, and you are awesome for being here. All right. So here's just a few pictures of our pack.
Yeah, we just wanted to quickly introduce ourselves. So this is our family. This is Christine, I, and our son Mayan. That's us in Sedona. He went to school at Arizona State University, so we had a nice trip to Sedona. And those are our 3 rescue dogs that we call them the Love Pack. And they are so joyful and wonderful to be around. And just looking at them, don't you just like feel your spirit uplifted?
Yes, Love Bug and Wonder Boy and Snuggabella. And we wish we could see pictures of all of your furry friends as well. So we're going to actually share a little bit more about our journey in the context of the 5 stages of a thriving relationship. And it's so good to see some familiar faces here. So those of you that we know and adore, thank you for being here. And we love the idea that everybody is a friend, either we know or we haven't yet met. And we're so grateful to have you in our community. And yeah, truly would just give you a great big hug if you're a hugger, if you were in front of us right now. So there are 5 stages to a thriving relationship. So romance, power struggle, commitment, growth, and thriving. And again, we're going to share a little bit. You may be familiar with our story. If you're not, we're just going to give you a really kind of brief version. We're open to sharing anything more, and we want to honor your time, but do it in the context of these 5 stages for them to really land for you to see like, oh, to identify like, where are you in your relationship right now? Can you relate to any aspects of our own journey? And it's so powerful just to find those universal experiences we humans have. It's so deeply bonding and validating, and it just lifts the added judgment or pressure or shame we have around things, and we think that we're the only one, or there must be something wrong with us. So rest assured, of course, you are totally normal, and we're so glad that you're here. Okay, so the romance stage.
Well, so the reason why we need to understand these stages of relationship is because if we don't understand them, then we're kind of wandering around in the dark and knowing kind of where a relationship is at. When we understand these stages, then we can accurately assess what stage we're currently in and what our goal is and what are the steps to get there. So that's why this is like such important information. So every relationship starts out in that romance stage. That's where, we are just smitten with this beautiful person that we just met, and, they seem perfect. And, we tend to say things like that, like, oh, they're just perfect. And we're just like exactly like each other, or, it's like, we're so similar, and we finish each other's sentences, and they're just so beautiful, and they do everything right. And like when we're in that romance stage, we are experiencing these really elevated levels of certain neurotransmitters, these feel good, kind of blissful neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline, endorphins. And it just gives us this natural high, this euphoric feeling. And we're, biologically programmed to experience this when we meet a new kind of romantic partner that that our nervous system identifies as a potential mate, someone to procreate with, right? And this is a good thing, because we probably would be extinct as a species if we didn't have this kind of wiring in us. And it kind of sets us up for this kind of this unrealistic experience. So it's a bit of like wearing the love goggles, but it's a wonderful experience that we should all have at least once in our life. And but it's not long-term love. It's it's inevitable that at some point, somewhere from 6 months to 2 years, and we start to experience that power struggle. And that's where, in the romance stage, it's like, I was, all about my partner's needs. I was like, oh, whatever your needs are, I'm going to do those in this like glorious way. Like, I'm so there for you. I'm romancing you, wooing you, and at some point, the power struggle, becomes like, oh, well, what about my needs, right? We change our focus and start, kind of having a more self-centered perspective, where my needs now, become maybe more important than their needs.
Yeah. And so just to place this in our own journey. So our romance stage, we got together 20 years ago, and it was a very sparkly beginning. I remember just feeling like, I feel at home. Like I feel seen and heard in a way that I never have before. So incredible. Before Brent actually had met, we both were writing in our journals to this person that we would someday meet. Just serendipitously, we were both doing that. And so when we got together and we discovered we had both been doing that, so many things as as you can probably relate to, perhaps in your relationship. It's okay if yours didn't start like that, and many do. And so that wasn't enough, though. That kind of soulful beginning, wasn't enough to prevent us from getting into the power struggle. So fast forward a few years later, and we own a home together, and we're co-parenting together, and life is full and busy and all the things. And we both had done lots of personal growth in our own lives, and relationships require a completely unique skill set. So rest assured, so often people are like, oh my gosh, what kind of person am I? And we have been, honored to support some of the kindest, most caring, generous, intelligent, successful people. And relationships are uniquely humbling and uniquely amazing in their ability to really bring to the surface any part of us that's unconscious, any part of ourselves that we're not loving, any old wounds, any part of us that needs healing that actually isn't serving us anyway, but it kind of is lurking beneath the surface, so we don't really know it. In the context of relationship, there is no place for any of that to hide. And it's a big reason why we have just fallen in love with this work, because they're like human growing machines. If we allow them to be, it is the greatest catalyst for us to really wake up to what's working, what's not, and how can we really, be our whole selves and really grow into, like, really align with who we really are and who we want to be, how we want to show up. So we got into our own power struggle, and on a night that I'll never forget, we were sitting on our couch and we looked at each other and we just really realized that our relationship was no longer bringing out our best. For either of us, we didn't like it individually, like who we were becoming to each other. I thought my nickname growing up was Toodaloo, because I was just like, so go with the flow. Well, here I am in a romantic relationship, and all of a sudden I have these opinions about what Britt does or doesn't do, or we were just getting into, I just thought I would never be someone that would get into an argument about the dishes. Well, there we were, so humbling. Just in a power struggle. So in a power struggle, what happens is that the romance stage, we focus on someone's strengths and all the goodness they bring. And then when we go into a power struggle, we start to flip that coin over, and we're looking at the flip side of it. So maybe we fall in love with someone who's so relaxed and easygoing. In a power struggle, now we're focusing on how they're boring or lazy or our judgment about them. Which is so tragic, right? So we're keeping score, nitpicking. We're going to go over to some of the things that show up in a power struggle so you can take responsibility for them. Not so fun. And in a power struggle, a lot of couples will either think, we're doomed, this isn't meant to be. Like, if this was the right relationship, it would be so much easier. And so they just end their relationship then, kind of idealizing somebody else, what it would be like in the romance stage. Or couples just look around, they're like, I don't see many other couples who are doing much better. So they just stay in one long drawn out power struggle in their lives. So not a good solution either. So that night sitting on the couch, we decided to, we realized we could either go our separate ways and just kind of bless each other on that, or we could keep doing things how we'd always done them, which didn't sound a whole lot of fun either. Or we could dive in and learn everything we possibly could about relationships. So that night we ordered this gigantic stack of books and courses. And we devoted every Friday night to conscious date night, where we would learn something new and grow our relationship. And it utterly transformed and just kept getting better and better and better. So now we're 20 years into our relationship. It's truly the marriage of our dreams. And, but it's not because we're just lucky or we're just compatible at all. We have the full capacity, to have a relationship that isn't working really well. It's just because we've so fortunate to kind of, have this be the living laboratory where we've learned the tools.
Yeah, when we're in that power struggle, it's like, well, is that really where we want to end it? Or do we want to really see what's possible? And, and hopefully that's the case. And then we need to move into that commitment stage, right? And growth stage and thriving stage. And it's very possible. Like there is a learnable skill set that can really move us through, all the way to thriving. And it's just, we need the right information, the right tools, and then apply it consistently, and really, if you work it, it will work. We know that from personal experience.
Yeah. So you make a powerful commitment, and you being here right now, if you're with a partner, turn to them and just make a commitment. Relationships are about committing and recommitting and recommitting and recommitting countless times. We get off track and then we recommit to like, okay, let's renew our love and recommit to thriving. And you being here says so much about that. And this is a perfect moment to let your partner know, okay, we don't have to know the way right now. All I know is I want to recommit to really growing our relationship.
Yeah, and that commitment stage, that's where we talked about the pillar one being about personal responsibility and commitment. Again, this might be a little surprising. That commitment stage is really about taking personal responsibility because that's what keeps us out of the power struggle. And when we take personal responsibility, and I, am asking myself, what does this relationship need for me to thrive? Then, the answer to that question, it guides me into that growth stage of the relationship where it's like, oh, and it'll change. It'll be 100 different things over a long-term relationship, right? So, maybe today what my relationship needs for me to thrive is to be more affectionate. Next month it might be, to be, more of a saver, or to, be a better investor. A year from now, it might be to be a better listener. So it shifts. And if we do enough growth, like if we spend enough time, invest enough energy in the growth, then inevitably we're in thriving, which is the best of the romance stage. But it's like a much more mature, version of it. It's the unconditional love version of the romance stage.
Yes. Yeah. Where we're like seeing each other through our strengths again. And we're focusing on the best of each other, giving each other our best, and loving and seeing the whole person, and having this inspiring, compelling vision of where we're headed together. And throughout a couple's, life journey, it doesn't mean that you get to thriving and then you're just permanently there. It's like anything else in life, staying healthy, whatever it might be. We want to always be nurturing it. So you might get back into a power struggle, recommit, grow and learn, and then get back to thriving. And it gets easier and easier the more and more you do that. Okay, so pillar one is to take personal responsibility. And that's really, we love to see that like taking 100% responsibility leads to 100% freedom in our lives. And it's really where our greatest wisdom is.
Because it keeps us in an action mode where, right, we're putting our time and energy where it can actually have an impact. And that's, on my behaviors, right? Like I don't have much impact on my partner's behaviors. But I have a 100% impact on my own behaviors when I want to transform something.
Yeah. So here we just want to name some of the most common relationship addictions. So if you relate to these are biggies. Know that it's okay. You can be a really kind person. What happens? These are truly relationship addictions because we get a huge shot of adrenaline when these occur. And it's like relationship crack. So we're going to show you some of the other kind of relationship poisons. And just in this moment, invite you to get honest with yourself to realize like, oh, yeah, those are some things that I've been doing that probably haven't been helping. Again, so much self-compassion. See the innocence in it. A lot of times we're doing these things because we just don't have other strategies. It's what was modeled for us. We've kind of fallen into the illusion of thinking they're actually going to work and get us the love we want, but it ends up getting us so much further away from that. So being right, huge addiction. It's like, do you want to be right or do you want to be connected and happy? But when you're like, yeah, I'm right, shot of adrenaline. Now that adrenaline is nowhere near as wonderful and expansive and heart opening as it feels to actually feel love and connection and joy together, but it's addicting. Blame, same thing. Criticism and just feeling significant, like saying different things just because you maybe make your partner less significant by making yourself more significant. The part of this is just kind of our primitive wiring, why these things kick in. So it gets us maybe to surviving to kind of dominate, but does not at all contribute to us thriving together. So just notice, so these are two, Brett kind of alluded to these and we went through the stages, but the two key questions that are going to set you free when it comes to taking responsibility for your own role in things.
Yeah. So one, how am I creating this? How am I creating this dynamic in a relationship that I don't like, that doesn't serve us? I'm going to assume that I'm playing the major role, or at least a partial role, in creating that dynamic. And if I ask this question, I will almost always find an answer. And that answer, again, it propels us into the growth, into showing us what growth we need to do to make our relationship thrive.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just an example of that would be if you're focused on like, my partner never listens to me. How am I creating this? It'd be just getting curious, like, I wonder how I'm talking in a way that's making it, more challenging for them to hear me right now. Or a curious question is, I wonder how I could communicate more effectively right now that allows them to hear me more readily. So that would be like, how am I creating the situation? Infinite examples.
Yeah, maybe I'm not communicating how much that bothers me when, I don't, have long stretches of time. Maybe I'm a slow processor. Oh, I am. And so I need kind of like blocks of time, for me to kind of, we call it, send the bucket down the well to get the thought and retrieve it and then communicate it.
Amazing thought.
But yeah, if I'm not communicating my needs for maybe more, for my partner to hear me, to be a better listener, if I'm not advocating for myself, then they don't know, right? They're not, mind readers. And so, they, it might even realize it's a problem. And, so it's up to me to communicate that. Just another example.
Yeah. So that's just, and if you instantly are like, nope, there's no way I'm creating it, we just invite you to like, just get a little more curious, bring some breath to it, go sit under a tree, journal about it, and just see if there might be something in there. And the second question is, what does this relationship need from me in order to thrive and go to the next level? So again, this is kind of the antidote if you're into like blaming your partner for what's not working, one, and two, if you're just focused on like, if you would just give this to me, we'd be so much happier. It's so simple equation. You do this thing I want and things are going to go better. Now, there's probably some truth to that, right? If your partner, most every relationship challenge is co-created on some level. And in the spirit of taking personal responsibility, so that you have leverage, you have power to change things, it's looking at what does this relationship need from me in order to thrive? And just a little note is that what our partner needs the most from us is usually the hardest thing for us to give. And vice versa. The thing that you are starving for from your partner is probably the hardest thing for them to give. And so, of course, it makes sense. It's why we're so hungry for it. And it's just a good insight to have because sometimes we think like it would just be so easy if you did this thing. And we compare what we're giving to what they're not, and then just realizing like, oh, there's something they're longing for from me. And that's actually really challenging for me to contribute as well. So those are great questions. So we invite you to apply those right away. And then here's just another little wisdom tidbit, just to in like the relationship being a mirror, is that oftentimes the very thing our relationship needs to grow is the same thing that's actually going to support our own growth as well, whether it's to be more centered, relaxed, be more empowered, contribute more, show up more, be healthier in mind, body, heart, spirit, endless possibilities here. But your relationship is really kind of calling you forward in your life in a powerful way if you take that invitation.
Yeah, Christine used the term like a people growing machine, and it really is. Our relationship is that constant source of inspiration and motivation to be kind of growing and evolving, as a person. If I, kind of living that bachelor life and, eating, carry out pizza and, my house is a mess, like nobody really cares, right? It's like, but if I'm in a relationship, it's like, well, so, my partner probably really cares about that. And that actually, brings out that better version of me.
Yes. Yeah. So whatever it is for your relationship, whatever your particular relationship needs, and there's no wrong answer to this. Yeah. Okay, so poison. So we're going to go through these quickly, and we just want to give you an overview of them. And again, it's all about having so much compassion for yourself. So these relationship poisons, we call them that because they're things that stand in the way. They create barriers to love and connection. And they're strategies. They're strategies that we've used to get our needs met. Our needs themselves are so beautiful and precious. We've just been misguided in trying to get these precious needs met by doing this thing. So for example, if you had a need for connection, you could get curious about how you can create the most irresistible experience, fun, whatever positive experience for the two of you to connect and be together. Or you could criticize your partner for all the things they're doing wrong. And we tend to do this then. We want them to come closer and we end up pushing them further away. And so one, just realize that they're just strategies you've used to get your needs met, and they're just ineffective strategies. And then two, realize that these usually happen because you're scared. And you might not identify as being scared in that moment. Sometimes when we ask people, they're like, I'm not scared. I'm just frustrated right now or annoyed. Underneath it, though, there's probably some part of you consciously or unconsciously that feels scared. Something that's really important to you feels threatened. So safety, connection, freedom, peace, so many things, belonging, something feels threatened. And so our fear gets triggered. And then we go into fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn. And so whatever it is for you, maybe a combination of those, we tend to have go-to favorites. And this is why you might show up to your friends, in a way that's really relaxed. It's so easy to encourage them, validate them. It's probably because you're not as impacted. What your partner says impacts you. What your partner does impacts you more than probably anyone else on the planet. And so we perceive them as a threat to whether or not our needs get met more than anyone else. And so we regress a lot more easily. So again, just a whole lot of compassion.
Yeah, and we're social mammals, right? And so safety for us as social mammals means two things: the absence of a threat. So clearly, if a bear is charging us, that is a threat, and our fear activation, you're right, happens in a flash of a second, and but we also need the presence of connection. So if we lack connection, and this is actually for a social mammal, this is the threat that's going to be triggered a lot more than the bear charging us. So right, it's not often that we're actually in a truly dangerous situation. That happens very rarely. When it does happen, of course, it's life-threatening, but it's very rare. What happens all the time is that our fear is being activated because of a perceived lack of connection. And again, this is wired into the deepest parts of us. And so this is why, right, it's so easy to get triggered in our primary relationship, especially as our social networks have been shrinking since the 1940s. There's been a constant reduction in the amount of social connection that people have had for the past 70 years, and it puts more and more stress and weight on our our romantic relationship.
Yes, for sure. So we're just going to show you here. We have a worksheet all about the top 10 relationship poisons. So if you wanted to send us a private message here with your email, we'll send you a handout where you can actually go through this exercise on your own or with a partner. And if you go through it with a partner, you're just looking at your own poisons and kind of owning these different things that you've been doing that probably haven't been working. And every place you identify something that isn't working, it just creates so much more room for what can work better instead. It's not like, well, at some point in your life, maybe you've done the majority of these. What are the ones that tend to be your go-to relationship poisons? So we've got the category of blaming, criticism, contempt. Again, just send us a private message with your email. Nobody else will see it. And we'll send these over to you, the actual handout, so you can sit down with a pen and paper and do it. Contempt, controlling and dominating, checking out, all the ways that can happen. Defensiveness, which takes many forms. Resentment, secrets and dishonesty.
Believing everything you think, neglecting the relationship, and not loving and caring for yourself. Yeah. So right, and this is all that pillar one, taking personal responsibility, kind of owning those mistakes that we're making in our relationship. Yeah. It's very liberating to do this.
It sure is. So again, if you want to actually go through this, those big ones that we share at the beginning, you probably see oh, that's a category. We've got you. We'll just send it over to your email if you want to go through this list. But pillar one, taking responsibility, asking those new questions. So way to go.
Pillar two, positively filling your love account. So we really like to think of, the interactions that we have as, like a ratio, and well, that we're either making withdrawals or deposits into our relationship. Like inevitably, we have those tired days where we're a bit moody and we're not being like so great with each other. And, maybe, for no reason, I'm just like not very kind or present. And that's a withdrawal from our relationship, our love account. Then it's like, and then I want to really notice that, be aware of that, be conscious of it, and be like, oh, well, my gosh, they deserve like way better than that. And so I'm going to make sure, I tell them how wonderful they are, right? I'm going to make some deposits in our love account. And we always want to make sure that we're putting in a lot more deposits than withdrawals.
Yeah. So every interaction, are you putting in a deposit or are you taking out a withdrawal? And this is based on the research of Dr. John Gottman, one of the leading researchers of relationships. And so when he looked at the couples that didn't do so well versus those that really did extraordinarily well, the ratio, kind of the sweet spot, is during stressful moments. You want to have a 5-to-1 ratio of positive interactions to negative. And then during just neutral or positive times, you want to aim to 20-to-1. And so it's okay. We're all going to have moments where we were not giving our partner our best selves. We just then want to put in a whole lot more deposits, which can be little things like your partner walks by and you just give them a little bit of affectionate touch, or say something kind, or do something thoughtful for them. It's the way you look at them, or they like point something out the window and you turn towards. So there's so many ways that we can fill our love account. And, you want to really be studying, asking your partner. An exercise we love to do periodically is just make a list 1 through 10. We write, I love when you, and we both just make a list of what we love when each other does, and share. And then we swap those. We have like, okay, these are the things you love. I'm going to be doing these things. So when you have a full love account, there's so much more resilience. This is the key. When your love account is low, little things become big things. One of you just is having a bad day and you're like, what's wrong with you? Whereas when you have a full love account, you're like, oh, it sounds like it was a hard day. How can I support you? You give each other the benefit of the doubt. There's just this ease in your connection so much more. So just do a little check-in. How is your love account right now? Is it time to be filling it back up? Yes. And being here now hopefully gives you some more deposits.
Yeah, just when we're at love accounts full, right? Everything's just easier, those bumps in the road, just like we glide right over them, versus when we have that low love account, or we're in the negative, we're bouncing checks in our love account. Really, it's like, it just takes a little look at each other, wrong look, and, but game on, with some kind of argument. So yes, it's really huge. It benefits so much, and when we can invest that positivity up front, then it just we get so much payoff, from that investment.
Yeah, so it's not just about fixing what isn't working. We can over focus on that, and if we don't have a full love account, those things are going to feel even bigger. So if your love account is really low right now, start adding in more of the good. Some of your relationship challenges will actually just disappear because you're all of a sudden going to be repositioned as allies and teammates. And so you're like, oh, it's okay, no big deal. And of course, you want to have those conversations. Not suggesting at all that you not address those. It's just when you have a full love account, those conversations are going to go so much better, and some of them probably will just transform on their own.
So we also want to make sure we're having a strengths-based relationship. This is where we're really seeing our partner for their strengths. In that romance stage, we naturally do this, because we have those love goggles on, we're in that euphoric, kind of biochemical state. But we actually want to keep doing that, even when it's, in the romance stage, we do that without effort. But we want to cultivate seeing our partner as that long-term. We want to constantly be seeing like all the great things about them. It's like, oh, you're, wonderful. awesome at organizing. You're wonderful at, being sensitive to, kind of when I'm feeling scared. You're there for me whenever I need you. We're just really, you know, verbalizing all those great qualities that we see in the other person, right? I'm sure, for those of you in a romantic relationship, I'm sure you see those all the time in your sweetie. How often do you verbalize it? And we want to make that a daily occurrence. And to do this in all our relationships, it works wonders when we're doing this with our kids, with our coworkers. If you're in a management position, it's such a powerful practice.
It is one of the tools we love it doing with couples in our practice and sharing with the coaches in our program. This is like a session I love so much, is helping couples walk through like all these different strengths and realizing on the flip side of everything we identified as a challenge, like, oh my gosh, on the flip side of that, there's actually something amazing. And this is one of the most powerful things we did in our own relationship transformations. We looked at all those areas we had mistakenly perceived as a shortcoming. It's like, wait, there's actually this precious strength on the flip side that I don't want to do without that. And how do we have that be more front and center? So for example, if someone is, really organized, the strength, maybe on the other side, maybe it's overbearing how much they want to keep, order in the house, or maybe your partner is high anxiety. On the flip side of that, maybe they have this amazing sensitivity and empathy, or your partner is a procrastinator. Maybe they're actually really good at prioritizing fun. So many things. Every single perceived weakness, if you look closely enough, there is something wonderful and amazing on the flip side. And whatever we look for, we're going to find, and that's what's going to grow. So it's just having this lens with how we see everybody, not just our partner, but everybody around us, like, okay, what's the strength there? Because when we focus on that, it brings out the best, not only in them, it brings out the best in ourselves as well. See the worst, get the worst, see the best, and get that instead. Okay, super. I'm just going to
a little tech snafu. Just a moment while we clean that up. All right, pillar 3, we want to create secure attachment. So attachment theory is a theory that was expounded by Jonathan Bowlby, a British psychologist in the 1940s, 1950s. Although I think maybe it wasn't formalized till the 60s, but definitely he had really articulated by the 50s. And Bowlby did a lot of work with what were called juvenile delinquents in the 40s, and then he also saw he helped organize British children that were removed from their parents during the Nazi bombing of London and during World War II. They were taken out into the countryside to be safe. Even very small children, like toddlers, were separated from their parents. And with the juvenile delinquents, the kids that were, kind of arrested for criminal activity, he found that almost 100% of them had what we call attachment trauma in their life, meaning their parents, left them or died, during their childhood, or just there was neglect. So whatever the situation was, like their caretakers weren't there for them, or their caretakers were very unsafe, and so he started to see that, this criminal activity is just an acting out of this harm that was done to them by not having safe, secure relationships in their life. And again, the kids that were taken away from their parents to protect them, right? They didn't understand, how much harm that would do to the kids. But Bowlby did see that, right? He saw, these kids that again were taken away from those safe connections, their caretakers, they really started to suffer, depression and anxiety. And there was actually a point after a couple of weeks where they would not quickly recover from that. Their bodies were put in a constant state of stress. And so then, there was a lot of research done to kind of prove that attachment theory, as much as it can be fact, is factual. That we prioritize social connections as much as anything else that we need for survival. Social connection really is the foundation of our survival. I will starve to death to feed my kids, to make sure they live, and that's because of attachment. Right? I will, stand in front of my wife and take a bullet because of attachment. Right? It's like it's really the best part of us. It's I think what makes us human. It's really beautiful. But we are social mammals, and this is how it works. And this is why the threat of disconnection in our important relationships is very triggering for us. It instills a primal fear if we perceive that our close relationships are not solid.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so validating if you have the experience, and it's so okay. I think someone is using the nifty feature in Zoom where you can draw on the screen, which is such a cool feature, and it shows for all of us. So if the person doing that, I don't know if there's a setting where it can just show on your screen. I don't know how to change it in this moment on my end here. Thank you so much. And isn't Zoom a wondrous thing?
Yes.
Okay, so just to debunk some myths, is that a healthy, mature adult is not supposed to need emotional connection. So if this is, a myth that you grew up with, that like our kind of aspiration is to be totally independent, fully self-sufficient, that is just a myth. That is not the aim. We are social creatures. We are wired for love and connection. We are actually better humans in connection, not on our own. Or if you've heard this notion that people who need or depend on others are dysfunctional, enmeshed, codependent, merged, fused, these are lots of different synonyms, to emotional, needy, and the cause of marital wreckage. Of course, there are nuances to all of these things. It's both and. We want to be taking personal responsibility. We have a responsibility in relationships to be nurturing our own mental health, our own emotional health, spiritual health, physical health, all the things. That's not exclusively the responsibility of our partner. And so often, when someone is really upset, it is so valid and understandable. It's because they feel a lack of emotional connection. And so, as a society, we tend to overemphasize independence and overlooked how real attachment is. And it explains so much, and it just works. And we get a couple securely attached, and they get to walk through life feeling like they have their number one fan, an ally, by their side, who always has their backs, who is there, engaged and responsive and emotionally available. It's a game changer. They show up. The other partner blossoms. It just brings out the best in both of them. So yeah, or that it's strong not to show our emotions. Total myth. So here are just some quick benefits of being securely attached.
Yeah, and really, there's a lot of similarities here to just the benefits being in a happy relationship, because, right, I mean, the happy relationship, we have to be securely attached to be in a thriving relationship. So it's really a lot of the same benefits. Just our health is better, longevity better. We tend to do better in our career. We just have a kind of rock solid stability in our life on which to build a great life.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot more peace and calm and ease and conflict. We move through it so much more quickly. So here are some questions for you to assess your relationship right now to see are we securely attached? And if you answer no to any of these, again, what good news. That means that things get to be even better for you. So how do each of you answer? Can I count on you? So in all the different ways, are you there for me? Will you respond to me when I need you? Do I matter to you? We also need to know that we matter. Am I valued and accepted by you? And do you need me? So those are suggested by Dr. Sue Johnson, who's one of the lead kind of researchers and pioneers in the field of attachment when specifically applied to adult romantic relationships.
Yeah, Sue Johnson in the 80s was the first couples counselor to use attachment theory in her work with couples, and it completely transformed the field.
Yes, absolutely. So we've mentioned this, just starting to see conflict when you have conflict in your relationship, like, okay, how, pillar one, like, okay, how am I contributing to this? And then looking at, how full is our love account right now? And looking at how securely are attached does my partner feel right now? Do I feel right now? Maybe this is just a symptom of that, and really a call for nurturing our connection. Just really, really powerful to see. When we see couples, the coaches we train see couples, it's because of decreasing emotional engagement and a growing absence of responsive, intimate interactions that tends to be, at the root of why people feel so lost, and why couples can feel so far apart and then so quickly start to feel reconnected.
Yeah, we mentioned the question to ask oneself, what am I doing to create this? And I find that, when someone has a blind spot around that, it's often around they don't realize how they're not open to connecting with their partner. They don't see, that their avoidance, they're stepping back from the partner, they're withdrawing, they're stonewalling, they're having a blank expression. These things are very triggering for us social mammals. And so, that's where we want to, dig deep and really looking at what we're doing to create, the pain or the suffering in our relationship.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so next pillar 4. So we're going to move through these quickly. Keep hanging around because we've got some good stuff. So learning to effectively communicate. So as we mentioned before, the challenge is often not about the issue. It's about what's underneath the issue, and learning to hear each other in a whole new way, learning to communicate in a whole new way where you can actually, piece apart all the different layers of what's present for you. We often don't even know, right? We just know we feel a whole lot of feelings about something, and it just comes out usually through the channel of a relationship poison. And so we love communication tools because it changes everything. And very often, especially around an emotionally charged thing, we're not really hearing each other. And when we don't feel heard, we tend to turn up the volume. So we use more words, we use harsher words, we get louder, or we check out to send a message. So we do something to kind of communicate more loudly. And when we're both doing that, we're just having two monologues and not a dialogue. And so if your partner is speaking and you notice that you're in your head, we invite you to practice getting out of your head, getting in their heart, and just getting passionately curious about what it's like to be them in that moment. And to really expand into the possibility that there's enough room for both of your feelings, both of your experiences. Like, you make sense, I make sense, nobody's wrong here. How can we get collaborative and creative and find something together that will really support both of us? And you can't even get to that place of kind of creative problem solving and collaborative teamwork if you're just so entrenched in your way of seeing it and wanting to be heard. And when we're in that place, we spend so much energy just trying to pull someone over to our side. And so we dig our heels in deeper. And again, we get further and further apart. So listening.
Really, when communication is a problem, the number one quick fix is becoming a better listener. And that is something that you can do. You have total control whether there's kind of, listening happening in your relationship. You can, just be that model, right? You can, set the standard for the quality of listening that's going to create real connection in your love life.
Absolutely. And we love the statement, kind of empathy before feedback. So many communication, tips and tricks along the way, and the power of empathy. So we kind of consider empathy like the price of admission before you were to share your own heart is first, have you really paused to be with their heart and really given them empathy and really felt and acknowledged them? Yes, yes. And here's also how it is for me. Yes. And oh, like that. Okay, so next pillar, number 5, repair.
Repair, yes. So painful stuff is going to happen. That's inevitable. We are these imperfect, people, and we're going to make mistakes. We're going to, wake up on the wrong side of bed sometimes, and be irritable or moody, or we might make some really egregious mistakes over a long-term relationship. And we just really need to repair when that happens. If we do, so the painful events are inevitable. The repair is going to decide whether those painful events propel us into a deeper intimate connection, or really create resentment and start sabotaging our relationship.
Yeah, so we just want to use any challenging moment to really learn and grow from it. And so we just invite you, in this moment, just to notice, like, have there been things that have happened in your relationship, and you just kind of want to, of course, if we were involved, it's a natural tendency, like, oh, can't we just move on and get to the good stuff? Totally understandable. And if we kind of create some completion around what has happened, it allows us to fully move forward together, and we get to learn and grow from that. Again, we're not blaming or shaming or using any of the relationship poisons. We just want to hear each other. What was that like for each other? Share as vulnerably as possible, apologize generously, and then, explore, like, okay, given what we know now, how do we want to do it differently moving forward? We love the expression wonder and look under is one that a phrase that we started using kind of spontaneously, and it's one that we just use all the time now. And so this is kind of when we're doing repair work, so often in the moment, we're not even aware of what's really going on for our partner. And so it can just crack our hearts wide open to actually hear, like, wow, this is how you were acting on the surface. Wonder and look under. Wow. And that's what you were actually experiencing in that moment. We can really share that. Then next time we're more tuned in to what's really present rather than just being in reaction mode. So repair is so powerful. So see, how can you start doing a little more wonder and look under and make sure that you've done some repair? And the last pillar, last but not least,
physical intimacy. So, affection, sexuality, these are some of the most pleasurable parts of romantic relationships. And, and they're really important to keep the right biochemistry in our bodies that, kind of keep us, attached to our partner. When we touch each other, when we're affectionate with each other, non-sexually, when we are sexual with each other, all the above, that stimulates oxytocin production. And without that oxytocin production, we start to kind of lose our connection. So that physical piece is really, really important. And, we really need to make sure that we're keeping that alive, because when we get stressed out, that, for a lot of people, that's one of the first things that drops off. I'm stressed out, and then, I'm kind of focused on that stressor, and I lose that desire, for physical connection with my partner. And the ironic thing is that when, we have, that affectionate and or sexual touch, that it actually clears out that stressor in my life. It helps me complete the stress cycle. And in the Coach Train course, we talk a lot more about this. It's really, this is based on some kind of newer research that's just really mind blowing, and again shows one of those real values of being in a long-term romantic relationship, and why we would experience like improved health and longevity because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to acknowledge, like most of us, this is education we've been totally missing. We grew up and maybe you had sex ed, in your high school or something, and the focus was on, sexually transmitted infections, or how to not get pregnant. A lot of times it was very fear-based. It wasn't about how to keep passion alive and long-term love, how to experience long-term desire. Like we didn't learn these things. So totally understandable if you're like, oh, I don't really understand who I am as a sexual being, or what physical intimacy really is, especially in long-term love. It's one of the things that happens sometimes more easily with a stranger or someone that we're just meeting, and more challenging. But the research actually shows it can increase, in long-term love, that couples that have been together for a long time actually can have the greatest, most passionate sex lives. So that's, yeah, hope-filled research for sure. So just know that most challenges around physical intimacy arise from a lack of information, not a lack of incompatibility or incompetence whatsoever. We just expect ourselves to understand this stuff, even though we've never learned it anywhere.
Yeah, the cost of having problems in the bedroom is big. When our sex life is going really well, it can give us up to 20% improvement, I guess subjective kind of self-reported satisfaction in our relationship. And which is nice, right? 20% improvement, kind of maybe takes us from, good to great. But if sex becomes a problem, and then it actually can become up to 60% of the dissatisfaction of the relationship. So it can almost single-handedly torpedo, the satisfaction in a relationship, and, be a source of a lot of conflict. So we want to make sure that we have, just like that thriving relationship mindset around sexuality. We're really prioritizing each other's needs. We're really approaching sex as a team. It's not, sex is not an individual sport, it's a team sport. And so again, in the Thriving Relationship Coaching Program, we really kind of go into that, how to make it a team sport.
Yeah, because so often what happens is that one partner, might need physical intimacy before they feel drawn to feel emotionally close. Another partner really longs for emotional connection before they even want to be physically close. And so you can see, if they both are feeling just this deprivation of totally valid, beautiful needs, neither of them are going to feel fulfilled. And so it's really this kind of, in the spirit of teamwork, there's usually things that both partners can do to really support each other better and to want to feel close. And so, yeah, just know if this is an area of your life you're nurturing, certainly it's going to pop up in lots of ways in your relationship. It can build a lot of resentment, just disconnection, as well as somebody feeling just unwanted, unloved, not attractive, all those kinds of things. You can just start to feel like roommates. Things can feel a little more just mechanical or logistical. Those couples that are nurturing their physical intimacy, you can usually spot them in a room. There's just a glow about them, a spark about them. And so it makes such a difference. Again, so much more resilience. And this looks different for every couple. So there's not any sort of quantity, of physical intimacy, and it's sexual touch as well as non-sexual touch. It includes all of it, and there isn't a set amount. It's different for every couple. It's just how we approach it. And so, yeah, more oxytocin. It's a reset button for couples. Fills the love account.
Yeah. All the good stuff.
All the good things. Yeah. More playfulness, a more secure bond for sure.
Yeah, easier time with forgiveness, right? It can push the reset button on our stress cycle. Yeah, it's very helpful.
Yes. Yeah. So we just want to name desire discrepancy. So I mentioned this is the number one reason that couples seek support. It's when there's a differing interest level in being physically intimate. So research shows that up to 80% of couples regularly experience situations where one partner wants to be intimate and the other partner doesn't. So you're not doomed in any way. You both want to get eager and excited to really come together. So this is the main thing. The takeaway for you is to help you understand brakes and accelerators, because it's like a revelatory way of understanding who we are as sexual beings. So it's the last thing that we're going to share here on this piece.
Yeah, so we have what's called the dual control model, where we have a sexual brake and a sexual accelerator. and so when desire discrepancy is there, all it is that one person has like a more sensitive accelerator, right? Their libido, tends to like go higher in moments, because lots of things press their accelerator, and one person has a more sensitive brake. Like stressors in their life, could be a wide array of different stressors, but those stressors tend to press the brake, and which limits their libido. And when we understand, it's like, what are those things that press our brakes and press our accelerators, then we can really act like that sexual team, and create that thriving sex life that we really desire.
Yes, absolutely. And so many like people that want to grow that connection they have with their partner, we go right to the accelerators. Like, oh, we just need to, put on more romantic music, or, get lingerie, or get in the mood. So those things are all wonderful. Of course, there's a plethora of those things. And it's also looking at the breaks. Like, okay, there might be some part of me that actually has, some sort of desire, but I'm overriding it so completely because one foot is on the brake. And so it's just a new language of really understanding this. And for the lower desire partner, there's also a really powerful notion of responsive desire. So we're just going to share that here. If you're in a relationship, again, where there's any sort of desire discrepancy, responsive desire is different than spontaneous desire. So one of you might experience spontaneous desire, which means like, it doesn't matter, whatever time of day, you might just like, you're in the mood, you're ready to go. Maybe that's most of the time for you. Somebody else might experience responsive desire. And what that means is that you begin to feel desire only after you've experienced some level of arousal. So it's like once you and your partner are, intimate in some way, you start experiencing some sort of pleasure. You're like, oh, now I'm not thinking about those other things. Now I'm ready. And so if we wait until we're, in the mood, we might wait a lifetime. It actually, it's different than when we're first falling in love, where it's just like this surge of chemicals and desire. In long-term love, in a healthy, consensual, supportive, safe, secure relationship, it's creating those situations where you're just being really intentional about creating all the conditions for you to be together in a pleasurable experience. And so that desire kicks in a way that it might not while you're like doing the dishes or running about your busy life. So goodness, there's so much more we could share about all of that, but hopefully just even that gives you an idea of like, oh, what are each other's brakes and accelerators? That's like a really good thing just to be exploring and have that language and get to know, what they are for each other, because we all have a whole long list of brakes, long list of accelerators. We have handouts and tools on all these things because we love handouts and tools. Hopefully that gives you a little insight.
And the low-hanging fruit in improving your sex life is probably more about identifying the brakes, the stressors that push the brake, and addressing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully there are little takeaways for you to look at, like, what stage are you in your relationship? Are you ready to make this powerful commitment to growing and to thriving? If so, we celebrate you so fully and completely. We invite you to just explore those questions about how you might be creating things. What does the relationship need from you to thrive? What are some of the things that you've been doing that probably aren't really supporting coming together in a way that feels good to you? Looking at your love account, just doing a little check-in, like, where am I in that 20-to-1 ratio? And, just start filling up more of the good and notice what starts to change. Begin to look at your partner's strengths, bring those back into focus to really grow the good. When you do that, wonderful things start to unfold. Look at secure attachment, like, am I, like those questions we asked you, like whatever ones you didn't respond yes to for each other, those are areas to really start looking and growing. And then communication, focus on learning to hear each other so that you really are teammates, and you don't have to work so hard just to be heard. Our nervous system relaxes, our hearts open when we can feel heard. And then that physical intimacy piece, have some conversations about your brakes and accelerators. So we hope so much that there were some takeaways in that really serve you. Those are the 6 pillars to nurture. Within all of those, of course, there are, there's so much inside all of those. And when all 6 of those pillars are strong and thriving, a relationship is pretty solid. So we hope you were able to, life becomes so much more fun, for sure. So we now have some the next few minutes to share with you. Thanks so much for hanging in here. For those of you that are curious to learn more, because we are opening up doors right now. Applications are actually due this week for the next round of our 6-month Thriving Relationship Coach certification. So we just want to give you an overview of that, share a little bit more with you. If that's something that intrigues you or would light up your heart or serve you in any way, we're so happy to share.
Yeah, so our Thriving Relationship Coaching Program, certification program, yeah, it would be, for you if you're looking for a career change, and that one that offers like so much more, freedom, abundance, possibly flexibility, purpose, and fulfillment. We've, been doing relationship coaching, full time for over a decade, and it's like just such a joy. Like I can't even describe how powerful, how purposeful, how meaningful it is to, be able to facilitate these breakthroughs in people's love life. Like there's just nothing that just like totally warms up one's heart. And we just need this work in the world, right? It's the most important thing.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Or if you're just so if you want to do a career change, maybe you're doing work right now, you're like, oh, it just, maybe you feel dread when you're going to work in the morning, or you feel it was a really busy day, but you don't feel fulfilled by the end of the day, and you want meaning and purpose in this one short life we all have. You want to feel like you're doing what makes you come alive, and you're like, I'm doing what I came here to do. And so you're ready to like pivot and do something that really lights you up. So exciting. Maybe you're starting out as a coach. You're like, okay, I know about coaching. I really want to help people. Coaching is so much about getting people from wherever they are to where they really want to be, which is an amazing thing to get to be a guide and really empower someone to step into the life of their heart's true desire. Such an incredible role to play. So you're starting out as a coach and you're like, okay, I want to be a coach. I know this, and I have no idea how do I actually help people or get people results. So this is definitely for you. Or you're looking for a side gig. So maybe you're like, oh, I like this work I do. Maybe it's not like, the most inspiring thing, and I like it. And I'd like to do something else on the side though that really does, bring my heart and my soul to it.
Yeah. Or maybe you already have a private practice and you want to add doing that couples work into your practice. Maybe, you just have training working with individuals, or, some other dynamic. And, it, isn't everything about relationships. I specialize in working with individuals. And so often, they'd be talking about the relationships. And honestly, before I really studied relationships, I probably wasn't giving them great advice. And so, that it's a wonderful, foundational piece to add to your coaching practice or your therapy practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So any sort of healing modality that you currently use, and you just want to bring more work with couples, support people with their relationships, even if you work with individuals, but you want to help them with their relationships, an amazing way to really gain expertise. Maybe you just retired and you're like, I retired, but I have more to give, more that I want to experience. Awesome. Maybe you're seeking personal transformation. So some people do this program. They're not sure they ever want to do it professionally, but personally, they want to do a deep dive, immersive experience to really transform all of their own relationships. That is beautiful. Or if you want to just support your friends and family. Brett and I got into this work because we had our own relationship transformation. And after we experienced it, we're like, we can't not share this with the world. It felt like we were given these keys and we're like, it's our responsibility to make sure that we spread this as far and wide as possible, and that our own practice filled with a wait list. And we love this work so much with every fiber of our beings. It's one of the things that really bonds the two of us. Our life is really devoted to our purpose. It's the greatest source of joy, and to get to do it together. And now that there are coaches all around the world who are spreading this, just fills us and doing it in all of their own uniquely wonderful ways, because the world needs this so much. So wherever you are, personal, professional, just brand new, wanting to get into coaching, or a seasoned coach that really wants to become an expert, you are in the right place.
Yeah. And this is a service that people just need more than ever, that, that we, right, just to do it well on our own, like we need this, new information more than ever. The whole world needs it because, as, time marches on, the world speeds up, we're losing our social connections, and there's just more weight, more stress put on our primary romantic relationship. And so we need more support, more help, more training than ever to do it right.
Yeah, and people are more open than ever to getting support.
Yeah.
And when it comes to our relationship, if people they're ready to like really go for it, because the area of life when it's not working, it's so deeply painful. And so people need it more than ever. Expectations for relationships are higher than ever. We're no longer together just to like tend to, the farm. Maybe you do have a farm, which is amazing. And for a lot of couples, it's less of a practicality. And it's more like, well, I want to be with you because life is more enjoyable together. And when it's not, I'm not sure I want to stay. And so with the expectations rising, which is fabulous, higher expectations means that we actually are called to have greater relationships. But people are totally lost without a skill set. And so the vast majority of the world is struggling in their relationships. So there is such a huge need for it. And it's amazing how quickly things can start to turn around and what becomes possible when people have a guide and they know the way. And there is a formula. There is absolutely a proven formula. We have the other cohort that we're in right now. They're wrapping up and they're doing their sessions now. And they're like, oh my gosh, it works. I did it. There's this breakthrough. It's so much fun to hear whenever people are in that part of the program. They're starting to see clients are like, oh my gosh, this totally works. So you'll be amazed by what you can do. And people desperately are really longing for it.
Yeah, we really know we have a formula that works because we've had multiple cohorts of these new coaches that go through, and after 5 months of training them, right, they start doing their practice sessions, with our formula, and it works. It just works every time, and so it's good stuff.
Yeah, we've tested it thousands of times in our own sessions with clients. We've really refined them over the past 10 years, testing, developing them, testing it out. Oh, let's do this in here. And so now we have over 50 of them, and they've all definitely been laboratory tested in our own relationship. And we love creating handouts. So,
and the field of coaching has just really exploded, over these past, 10, 20 years. And it's on a trajectory just to keep doing that, to keep growing and expanding. And so, there's a huge opportunity here for people that want to get into coaching. It's seen, as a way, there's been therapy around for a lot of years, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I believe in that model in many ways, but for relationship coaching in particular, or for relationship skills or to relationship support in particular, the coaching model actually works a lot better than the therapist model, because a therapist that can bill insurance, well, you have to put a diagnosis on somebody to be able to charge insurance. So a therapist is again, if someone has a mental disorder, that's the right place to go. But if someone has relationship problems, that is quite normal, right? So, I may have a, co-occurring, anxiety or depression, but that's not the problem. The problem is, we need to focus on the relationship, and actually that coaching model is just much better for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the pandemic definitely normalized virtual sessions. So, coaching industry, it is definitely exploding. People are more open to getting help than ever. And there is a shortage really, truly of people who are particularly skilled around relationships. There are lots of generalized coaches and therapists and counselors, and it can do more harm than good, unfortunately, with the best of intentions and skilled practitioners. But relationships really are a unique skill set. And when someone has something as important to them as their relationship, they want to go to someone who specializes in that. that. And so in this huge field of coaching, if you want to really stand out and be the relationship expert, the go-to, we never got into this because it was a smart kind of business thing whatsoever. We just really, we love people. We love helping people. We both had backgrounds in nonprofits and activism. And we're like, oh, we want to be activists of the human heart and spirit and help people experience more love. And it turns out it's actually a really, really wise business to get into. Who knew? So we have been so incredibly fortunate in that way. And we know from the other coaches doing this, our business has just kind of grown rapidly. We have a whole team here now of practitioners and coaches, most of whom have gone through our coach certification program, and then other coaches all over the world. And people are really, really looking for someone that has this specialty. All right. So, and it really works, is that as a business, people are willing to, really invest in saving their relationship.
Absolutely. Our romantic relationship is really, the most important thing in our life. I mean, we, see over and over again, it's when someone's, romantic relationship is being threatened, like they're willing to leave their house, to change their career, to change anything in order to save their relationship. And it's so precious, right? And so you're going to be have the skills to help them in this very sensitive, fragile area of with the most important thing in their life. And we help people, we train people so that really to make sure you do no harm and that you really help the clients. And people are very motivated, right? It's like, well, when the most important thing in my life isn't working well, it's like I'm ready to invest. It's like I'm gonna call that relationship coach. And it's like, hey, if I have confidence that you can help me, you don't have to sell me. So it's really easy to get business and to get clients when you're trained and you start having successes. And I mean for so many years, we never did any advertising for the first 8 or 9 years of our business. It was just all word of mouth, because when you start having successes with people, it's like word will spread.
Yes, they want to tell their friend, all the other people that they see who are just suffering, and they want them to experience a lot more peace and ease together. So it's a smart thing to get into truly as a career for you. So just to share with you a little bit more about the structure of the program, we really our mission is for this to really be the gold standard of relationship coach certification, that you leave this program as equipped, as empowered, as absolutely possible, that you have everything you need, that you are showered with love and support and encouragement, are just held every step, that it's inevitable that you're going to succeed. You definitely gain expertise around all things relationships. So we cover all the things, certainly extensively cover communication, healing from affairs, sexuality, so much more, attachment, all these 6 pillars. We do deep dives into all of them. We really combine the science and the heart. So we love helping you understand what's happening in the brain, what's the research that backs us up, and we bring in a whole lot of love, a whole lot of heart, because that's actually where, of course, connection actually occurs in our own community, and then from coach to practitioner and between a couple. And so it's really both those things. You want it to be so grounded and also really, really nourishing and inspiring, and really fill your heart.
And we're not only going to help you with the soft and hard skills of being a great relationship coach and giving you all the tools to give people powerful healing, powerful bonding experiences. We're also going to get you, we got you taken care of on the business side. If you'll need, if you don't currently have a private practice and you need to build one, or you have a private practice and you want to take it to the next level, Christine facilitates a business boot camp that it's an optional part of the course. And she is so magnificent. She is such a master at helping people build their businesses. And I know that's often, the intimidating part of becoming a coach, because, right, if you're interested in a program like this, like you're a heart and spirit kind of person, right? We love you. That's the kind of people we are. And so that business side of it can be pretty daunting, but Christine makes it fun and easy.
It is a passion of mine. I love just seeing your gifts be empowered to go share them in the world. So we do that workshop style in the program, the business boot camp. So you're there with your laptop. We do it right then and there. So it's not like, oh, I need to get to that thing. Like, oh, no, we're going to do it right then and there. So that by the end, your business is like really ready to go. And it's also so much personal transformation happens in the program. It's also taught by us together, which is really unique from other programs that are out there. So Brett's background is a licensed psychotherapist. He's worked in clinical settings, hospital. My background is I've been a coach for nearly 20 years now. I've been kind of coaching lots of different holistic healing modalities. And so we really bring those together. So male, female, from a couple coaching and therapy realm, which is really, really unique. And our community is so inclusive, so amazing. Just everyone kind of becomes champions of one another. And we attract such diverse people and just the most incredible community. We are so moved and touched and inspired by our community on the daily.
Truly are.
So it's 6 months long. There are weekly training modules. So once a week, we come together for 2 hours. It's slides, it's handouts, it's very tangible. This next round, about half of those will be live and half will be pre-recorded, giving you some flexibility there. And we stagger the times we go live to work for different time zones, and you get the whole calendar when you enroll. So that's 2 hours. That's training, really concrete. You get the replays of everything for a lifetime. And then always live, we do Q&A calls every single week. With the two of us, you can submit your questions ahead of time and we'll answer them live on the calls, or you can come on the call. It's really like we laugh, we cry, we do all the things together, and we make sure literally that every single question gets answered in the program. No question will go unanswered, whether you can be there live or not. And we post the replay, within an hour or so of after we've been live.
Yeah, there's a library of sessions, recorded sessions that Christine and I have personally done. And this will be the only way you'd ever have access to that. And these are really kind of magical sessions with clients where we're showcasing the tools that we'll be teaching you. And we just hear from students. It's so inspiring watching those. And it just kind of sets the tone in them to be able to create similar experiences for clients when they get to that facility, doing their practice sessions about 5 months into the program.
Yes. Yeah. And you will get the whole roadmap. So you will have exclusive rights to use all 50 plus of our relationship tools. So these handouts that we've made, that we don't share them. This is the place to get the entire roadmap, and you get to use them. You can bring them into your own practice, reproduce them, all the things. Once you become certified, and all of those you have, of course, for a lifetime, as we're always updating them, you always get the latest and greatest. We also, we're just right now expanding a directory on our website featuring all the coach graduates that want to be on there. So you also have that, and we have tens of thousands of visitors to our website every month. So want to share with you so those are some of the things, the components. And if you go to the website, which we'll send you that link in a moment, there are lots of videos you can see of people who have taken the course and what their experience was. Here are just some little snippets from one of the groups, completely unsolicited. So these things you learn will last a lifetime. This quote says, "This class is changing my life. So many lessons I've learned about myself and others. It's truly one of the most wonderful things I have ever done for myself." And that is our aim. That warms our hearts so much, honoring all the people that are doing the work. And it really will. It'll just pay off. It'll forever change how you see yourself and others and your ability to relate to people.
Yeah. So here's another one. I just wanted to share that I used what we learned so far within these past few weeks, and I helped a mother and daughter mend the relationship and shared how important it is to listen to each other. I am amazed at what we can achieve as coaches. Let's keep thriving, coaches. And thank you. And this shows that actually all our tools, I mean, even though our area of specialization is romantic relationships, all of our tools, all the concepts that we'll teach you convert to all relationships. It's really just like, any relationship, meaningful relationship, can be improved on, we can experience healing in that, just, with these same tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And so quickly, this is a few weeks into the program. We hear that all the time from people. They're like, because you're invited to start sharing these things with people right away. After week 1, you'll start sharing things and like, oh my gosh, I totally helped that person, which we love hearing. We're so grateful to hear people, again, just bringing this healing into the world. So here's another comment in our group that just notes, this is one of the things we're most proud of, is how much it changes, like just who people become as humans, just more loving, kind, compassionate, gracious humans in the world. So here's a note. I just want to say thank you for the amazing way you teach this work. You both are so thoughtful, bright, and well-informed. You then temper that knowledge with a compassion that is so tangible that it often breaks my heart or hits me over the head with, yeah, that right there. Thanks for bringing me along with you. So deep bows to that beautiful human and student as well.
Okay. I'm madly scribbling notes, watching the new sample session that was posted. #gold. Watching Brett move through the steps that were outlined in this week's training for a first session is brilliant. Oh, thank you.
So you get to learn the tools. We guide you through the tools, so you apply them first to your own life. Then we teach you all about how to guide couples through it. And then you actually get to watch us guide couples through it so that you're learning it in lots of ways. And then you go on these calls. So there are also weekly partner calls. We call it Heartner. It's a partner, of course, where you get to come together with your with the fellow students and actually practice the tools with each other. You get coached and you get to coach others. That is so powerful. It is a treasured part of the training as well. And I also just want to note, part of Business Bootcamp, you also receive 6 months access to Scott Oldford, who is just a wizard of entrepreneur, well-known in the online entrepreneurial space for coaches. Just no strings attached. He's a dear friend, mentor, and our business partner. And you get 6 months access to his program that you don't have you just get 6 months after this program is done. So there's no limit to where you can take your business. And we also have amazing guest speakers like Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor, who teaches you all about the kind of neuroanatomy of relating. It is a training not found anywhere else, all about whole brain relationships. She's New York Times bestselling author, phenomenal. So much goodness.
Another quote testimonial, jump in and be brave. So awesome. I feel so happy we could help a couple. This is somebody who just did one of their first practice sessions. Was amazing and enabled them to see so many good things. As you can probably tell, I am on a high. So appreciative to have this opportunity. I haven't felt this alive for a while. And this is the kind of thing we hear so often from our students, that doing this work just supercharges them. It gives them such a profound sense of purpose in the world, and gives them what they feel like is these superpowers to like help people that are in pain and to bring them back to love.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are a few. Again, on the website, you'll see you can watch videos of students and such. So grateful for everyone who has been a part of it and all those that will be. So know that we just want to serve and support anybody that's called to this. So there's a satisfaction guarantee. If for some reason you start the program, you're 30 days in, you're like, gosh, I don't feel like I'm really getting the benefit from it. No problem whatsoever. We want there to be 0 risk and you'll get a full refund. So just know that. And then here's the link. So if you go to centerthrive.com/certification, you'll get so many more details about what it includes. And you'll get the link to actually fill out your application. And we encourage you to apply this week. Classes actually start next week. So get your application in. Next week is just orientation. So it's okay. You want to get your application in there due this week. So it just takes 10 minutes or less to fill it out. As soon as you fill it out, you'll be invited to hop on a call, to schedule a call where you can then get all your questions answered. We'll make sure that it's a wonderful match for your own dreams and goals. There's 0 pressure. It's like having a cup of tea with a good friend. We really just want whatever is going to support you all the most. So go ahead, just get your application in, schedule the call, and we can't wait to connect with you and potentially have you in this program. The community that's created, we call it Team Love. And they are the most heartfelt, meaningful, beautiful connections that can last for many, many, many years to come. It's such an honor and such a privilege.
Yeah, our vision is for every neighborhood in the world to have a thriving relationship coach, which will just create like this neural network across the globe, of love and connection. And we just really want to encourage you, like if what we're saying speaks to you, just to go for it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We'd be honored and delighted to have you with us. So that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. So good to be with you. We're looking forward to connecting more. Thank you for being in our community and just sending so much love into your day or evening, week, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much. And cheers to more love in the world.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Just wishing you well, many blessings. Much love.
Let's do this again soon.
Woo! Yeah.
Bye.
Awesome.
Like